Hello, I'm going to show how to properly change a tire. Um, First, you need to be aware of safety when you are needing to pull over on a road to do this. Ideally, you could get off of a main road, turn down a side street, or like I am here in my driveway, um, just to avoid any distraction from another driver that might run into you. Um, when something like this happens, which it's going to happen, uh, it's going to take some time. Your plans that you had scheduled may end up being a little late. It doesn't have to take forever, um, but if you didn't know what you were doing, it would take even longer. So this is the part of the process that it's not fun to do, but we got to learn how to do it. So when you notice it, pull over to a safe place. If you can't get completely off of a roadway, the tire's too flat, get over as far as you can. If it's on the driver's side, you want to really get over as far as you can. If it's on the passenger side, you need to leave yourself some room to be able to use a jack. The jack that comes with the vehicle. It's not going to work very well on grass. It's not going to work very well if the vehicle is tilted one way or another, or up and down, forward and backward, excuse me. And so you need to get to a level of ground as you can, and find a safe place, especially depending on which side of the vehicle your flat tire is on. Every vehicle has a jack that's going to be in a different place. If it's in a car, it's usually in the trunk. If it's in some kind of SUV, it's usually behind the back seat. I have a pickup here, and it's underneath the back seat. But every vehicle is going to be in a little bit of a different place, and that's where you need to find it. It was secured to the vehicle with a screw underneath the back seat. You just had to undo it, and it went down through like this, and it was secured in so it didn't rattle around. It also comes with some tools to be able to undo your bolts or lug nuts from the wheel itself. And in my vehicle, it comes with extra pieces so that you can get the spare tire out from underneath the bed of my truck. It's not for every vehicle, but I have a couple of extension arms to be able to reach that. You can pause. All right, so I've come to the back of the vehicle where I'm going to show where to lower the spare tire. Again, a truck is not the same as every vehicle, but usually if you open up the back in a car or in an SUV, you'll be able to find where you'll need to lower down the spare tire that comes with the vehicle. On a truck, it's usually some kind of extension that you'll need to go through the back bumper to be able to get into a sleeve, and you can unscrew it to lower down. So I have to use these extension arms here, put them together, and then slide in. There's a little receiver, kind of almost like a funnel, and you slide it in until you can't get it, and then you kind of lock it in place, just like finding a screwdriver. You kind of have to find the pocket that it needs to go into, and then a lot of times these tools are designed to have multifunction, so this can slide on here, and you can use this to turn and loosen the wheel, and the spare will lower down, and you can lower it down as low as you need to be able to get it off of the cable or chain that's holding it. It usually has a deal that goes through it, and then you can unthread it and get it out of there. But mine just lowers down, and then you can undo that from there. It will be very dirty because it's underneath the vehicle and doesn't get washed a lot. I'm going to tighten mine back up and just demonstrate the other portion of this. All right, so now we're going to get to the actual changing of the tire. This tire is not flat, but I'm going to demonstrate how to do it on a flat tire. Now, the one main difference is the tire will be a little bit lower to the ground in the case of a flat tire. So the jack will have less of a distance to push or to start pushing up. But before we can use the jack at all, we're going to need to get our lug nuts loose. We don't want to try and get those loose and rock the vehicle to potentially push it off the jack or have it tilt off the jack. So we want to use the biggest force with the vehicle all the way on the ground. It's okay that they'll be a little bit loose when we start to jack it up. Now, my vehicle has a cap or a cover over on top of the real lug nuts. You can try to put a tool on it and it's not going to do anything to these. So it actually comes with a little bit of a screwdriver end, like a flathead screwdriver, and you can just pop this off. It would have been easier if it wasn't facing straight down, but that's the hand I was dealt. And so you can see the real lug nuts here, and you'll want to get them loose with your tool before you start the jack. So I'm going to show that. This wrench is fairly long. You want to make sure that it's secured to the lug nut and go clear out to the end with the force that you need to put on it. Depending on how hard it was tightened before, you might even have to step on it or kick it to get it down. Just make sure you're going the right direction. Remember the saying righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, and that applies here. So we want to make sure when we're loosening these that we're going to the left or counterclockwise. So you can see that's pretty tight. And we can kick to loosen it up, and that'll be okay. It just needs to be to where you can loosen it with your fingers. It may tighten up on you depending on other pieces that get pushed out of place, but you also don't want to go around in a circle. You want to kind of go across in a cross pattern just to loosen them up to where nothing's going to get bent or anything like that. So I'm going to do one more and just kind of show that process. Find where it's locked in place, and you can push with your hands, and if you can't get it, you can step on it or kick it down, and that just kind of pops it loose. And if you need another little bit more, you probably shouldn't need another kick, but you can use the tool to loosen it until it's like finger loose. And you just need to repeat that for all of the lug nuts. Mine has 6. Some have more, some have fewer than those. I don't think a vehicle is going to have fewer than 4 unless you're on a race car. So just continue the process with all 6 of those, and I'll show you the next step here after all these are loose. I'll loosen the rest of them off camera. All right, the next part of the process is lifting the one corner of the vehicle off the ground. We need to get it to where the tire is free and is not having any weight on the ground at all. You'll have your jack out already because that's what has the tools in it. Again, mine comes with some extensions just because of how long it might need to be. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But usually there is some way to have a multi-function, whether that's your wrench or you have a different tire iron. It will connect with this so it can help you to spin the jack more freely rather than trying to do it like this, because that's not going to be very strong. Mine has this hook, and it hooks into this circle on the jack. And at first, I'm going to raise the jack up just without any weight on it, because I've got a ways to go before it's going to hit anything underneath the vehicle. And then when you are choosing a place to put your jack, you need to find a place on the frame, not just any part of the paneling on the vehicle. A good way to think about it is if it's got paint on it, it's not a good place to put a jack. Go farther under and you'll find a piece of more solid looking metal, and that's what you want to look for. I've got a block of plastic deck board. It could be a piece of wood that could help too. I just have it in my toolbox on my truck. If you've got a block of wood, it could be a shorter run for the jack. But if you don't have that, the jack will just go up higher. I'm going to slide this under until I've got it on a nice part of the frame that's going to be able to hold the weight of the vehicle on it instead of the tire. So now I can see that where the jack is going to continue to go up, and it is right on the frame. I can loosen it up without the tools for right now, but as soon as I get to metal, I'm not going to be able to really turn this anymore. It's tight now, and I can turn it by hand a little bit. It's going really slow. But if I put on this tool, and you want to have the wrench facing out, and I'll show you why you want to have that. So I'm raising the jack, and the reason that you want to have the tool facing out is so that you can use it as a handle to continue to wind that jack. And as you continue, the jack is pushing on the frame and rising, lifting the vehicle up. It has a ways to go with these leaf springs before it's going to release that vehicle. So that's as high as the jack will go, and you can see that the wheel is free. I'm able to push everything. So I'm going to take the wrench off of here. And if I need to use it on these lug nuts, pull it back out and loosen it. Because of the weight, the tire wants to push down, and so it might kind of rock towards you, and you can just push the wheel back and it will give you some more space to be able to loosen these with your fingers. Don't lose these lug nuts, just keep them next to you. I have to use a wrench on this last one. It didn't want to pop loose as easily. A lot of times this will happen because the tire wants to come off just based on gravity, and it's trying to get off, but that last nut's in the way. So all right, so we got 6 lug nuts in a place that they're not going to roll away, and then you can stand up. I like to grab the actual wheel and lift it out, and then you have your wheel free where you can see where the wheel attaches to the axle. One tip for safety: if you're going to be using a spare tire, this metal wheel can save you if something were to come off the jack. So a tip that you can do is turn the wheel on its side and slide it underneath the axle. It may not be as sturdy as a jack, but that little bit of extra space can save you if you're underneath here when you're not supposed to be. A vehicle drives by that brings a lot of air with it, or wind, and it knocks the vehicle off the jack. That can save you a little bit from having this fall down on top of you. So next I'll demonstrate how to attach the wheel back on, or attach a spare would attach the same way. Okay. So attaching a spare, or in my case, I'm just reattaching the tire that was already on there because it's not flat. You don't have to get down and line these holes up. You can kind of get the wheel close to it and see where it's at. And then it wouldn't take much of a lift to get it over to it. I'm going to stand up. But you just line up your holes with those bolts, and you have the wheel lined up, and then you can tighten the lug nuts back on with your fingers. Make sure they go on the right way. Just finger tighten for now. You'll end up really cinching them later when we lower the vehicle down. As I said before, the wheel wants to kind of fall out because of gravity. So it might feel like it's really tight with your fingers, but then you'll go to tighten it up with your wrench and you realize it wasn't tight at all. So now that all of the nuts are on there, just finger tight, I just wanted to show here that if I push against the wheel, that gave me a lot more space, and so I'm going to tighten it up with my fingers even more. The wheel just wants to fall because of gravity, and so if you push up against it, there's a lot more space for these nuts to go by hand, and it's just faster to do it this way rather than lining up a tool that's really meant for saving space rather than doing this job. So you can just keep tightening them up more and more by hand, by pushing around in different places. Once you've got it in a place where you can't really finger tighten anymore, even if you're pushing around in different places, then you can just get the bolts snug. You don't want to really cinch them up, just want to get them snug with your wrench. You can go a little bit farther, and you don't want to go around in a circle because you don't want to get them tight in one area and then it kind of bends things. You don't want to bend the bolts that were in there. You want to just get them snug and make them go across from each other before you move on to another bolt. So I can see here that this one didn't really want to go in by hand very much. So I got it snug by the tool, and that made it so I could tighten up a lot of these bolts by hand again. And so I was just in this one. I'm going to go kind of across and just get it to where it's snug. It's not all the way tightened. And go across from it, snug. Just snug, and you can see, I think, you know, going up with the tool as opposed to down helps to make sure it's snug, but you realize you're not really cinching it until you're on there later when the tire is back down on the ground. Okay, so the nuts are secured, but they're not really cinched tight yet. We want to have the vehicle all the way back down with the weight on the tire before we really put some leverage into it. So we're going to lower the jack before we do anything else. So I'm going to get my multifunction wrench back on, if I can find that little BB in there. And then it was going clockwise to raise the jack, so I'll go the opposite direction to lower it. And you'll find that because of the weight of the vehicle, it's a lot easier to push to make the jack go down. So get this down all the way to where the weight is off of it, and I like to just go ahead and lower the jack all the way down. However, if you're not quite sure if things are finished, you can just leave it close to where the frame is. And then if you have to raise something back up, you don't have to go as far with it empty. Okay, you can pause it. All right, so the jack is free. As you can see, there's no more weight on it at this point. If you've got a lot of experience doing this, you can probably go ahead and lower it all the way back down. If this is your first time doing this, you might leave it at this stage in case you have to raise something back up. It's closer to where the frame is at this point, and you could wait until all of your bolts are really cinched tight. I'm going to go ahead and loosen my tool from the jack, and I'm going to come over to the wheel to tighten these up. So if you recall that I had to kick the wrench to be able to get them loosened, I'm going to really cinch this tight, getting clear out to the end using all the leverage. If you need to use your other hand to hold it on there, you could, or you can have both hands on the end of the tool, and you can see it can go still a bit further. And you want to get it to where, the tool is flexing, but it's really as tight as I can make it there. And you go across, and you want to cinch it tight. If you need to reset the tool because you run out of space or leverage, you can, just move the tool a little bit more to where it's closer, and you can keep your arm straight to really cinch it. All right, once your nuts are tight, you can go back to the first one that you did and just make sure it doesn't have any more room to go. And that one's finished. Something else to talk about. Once you're finished wrapping up, putting the tools away, just some general maintenance things. It's recommended that you look, usually it's on the driver's side door entry. right here on the vehicle is from the manufacturer, their recommendation for your tire pressure. The tires have a recommendation, but that's for any vehicle that they might go onto. You want to look at what your manufacturer says for your vehicle to know how much to inflate your tires. Mine, the recommended PSI is 35 PSI. That is a common number for vehicles. It lowers, the pressure lowers when the weather is cold. And so that's something to look out for. When the weather heats back up, the pressure goes up. So now I'm just going to be putting away the jack, and you can loosen this down by hand or you can use your tool. At this point I'm already dirty, so it doesn't matter what I'm touching. I'm just going to be putting things away, and then I'm done. Now I will say I'm on a driveway, so I know that I don't have anybody coming up behind me or racing along beside me. If you do have to stop on the street, ideally you could have some kind of notification for other drivers that you're stopped. So you want to have your hazard signals on, that they're flashing, and you want to, if you've got cones or something like it, a lot of people have kits in their vehicle, or a secondary type of thing that's in addition to what their vehicle came with, that they might have a safety kit that has cones or road flares if it's dark. But you just want everybody to know, hey, there's somebody that's stopped here, and keeping yourself safe before you start this job. If you have a passenger in the vehicle, they can help watch for cars that aren't paying attention. They can, stand behind the vehicle and direct traffic around you. Sometimes people even stop and offer help. I know one of the times that I had to do this on the road, it was about 100 degrees outside, and a couple of older ladies got me a water, and they brought it to me, and that was nice to have when I was done. So, you're obviously watching while you're driving for anything like this, but when you're the one that has to get out and do it, you need to make sure that everybody else can see you. So that's why it's important to pull over to a safe place if possible. If you can't, because it's damaging your vehicle to go any further, you want to make yourself as visible as possible. Use your help if you've got it. Passengers, if they're not too young, they can help to draw attention to you and make sure that no one's going to run into you. I think that's about it as far as how to change a tire. Like I said, every vehicle has a little bit of a different system. I've even seen the extension arm pieces. I've seen those under the hood in the front before. Something that you should be checking out in the vehicles that you drive most commonly, to know where their jack is and where their tools are anytime you would need to change a tire. And again, checking that tire pressure, making sure it's to the specification of the manufacturer of the vehicle, not just the tire. That helps to prevent this from happening, but nothing's going to be a total prevention of it. There's going to be things that are on the road that you don't see, and that sort of thing. So it's going to happen inevitably, and hopefully you'll be able to do this on your own.